Sup, nerds? It's basketball. Welcome to Horse, Happy April Fool's Day! Before I continue my first ever journey through the Harry Potter series, just a few quick announcements. It is the first episode of Potterless in April, and here at Potterless we donate $1 every month for each patron that we have on our team over at patreon.com/Potterless to a different charitable cause. And as I mentioned a couple episodes ago, this month we will be giving to a fund that is supporting the families affected by the Christchurch shootings. At the time of recording, we have 756 patrons, meaning I donated $756 to a Lovegood campaign called United for Christchurch Mosque Shootings. The campaign ended at the end of March, so if you want to support these victims, there's a great New York Times article about how you can help, and that is how I found this charity. There are some other charities as well that you can support. Second, I just wanted to give a friendly reminder that Potterless has a merch store. If you go to bit.ly/merchon, you can get a whole bunch of Potterless merchandise. We have shirts in all the different house colors, we have pins, we have stickers, we have posters, all sorts of good stuff. Amazing artists made all of these items possible, and I love all of them so much, and I hope you do too. Again, you can go to bit.ly/merchon to get that merchandise today. And speaking of amazing people making awesome things possible, we have new patrons to welcome to the team. So shout out to Katie Morris, Brindis Inga Borsteindaughter, Richard Kreutz Landry, Natalie Ubben, Karen Joanne Killian, Tatiana Schmidtova, Remco Hatters, Stefan, Lauren Renda, and Tara. And a huge shout out to our new producer level patrons, Jenny Campione, Nikki Harris, Kara Hamilton, and Dorcas. They joined the ranks of Leanne, Vicky, Aaron, Erica, Calvin, Jesse, Natalie, Deborah Clow, Frank Marchismo, Tori, Samantha, Juan, Kieran, Rebecca Abid, Caitlin, Rosemary, Jill, Marie, Lisa, Ariel, Romina, Kamel, Russell, Dustin, Audra, Eleanor, Sydney, Billy, Roseanne, Andrea, Nikita, Lala, Chelsea, Taylor, Lovekesh, Ali, Cassandra, Roxy, Amelia, Sean, Sarah, Ben, Rachel, Zachary, Jessica, Arna, Tiago, Daisy, Jessica, Orchid, Steve, Vivian, Takari, Haley, Marino, Moster, Pinky, Angelina, Ross Marie, Phineas, Lee, Alex, Brian, Caitlin, Finn, Mosin, Grace, Sammy, Raul, Ingen, Mari, Brianne, Heidi, Alexandra, John, Jen, Noel, Tao, Emily, Michael, Robin, Patricia, Will, Liz, Mariah, Brandon, Sarah, Clark, Teal, Sina, Rory, Gloria, Sarah, Patrick, Alicat, Hallie, Veronica, Kevin, Lotta, Noah, Tracy, Lucinda, Carlos, Pam, Nikki, Colleen, Jennifer, Friday, Ivor, Naomi, Tyler, Summer, Heather, Vera, Carrie, Andrea, Topher, Ella, Anthony, Dead Cat Lady, David, Lisa, Lynn, Emily, Ryan, Cameron, Justin, Christine, Jacob, Toothless, Maya, Mark, Polly, Kimberly, Srujan, Brittany, Nita, Bavi, Tumnus, Remy, Matt, Sarah, Lauren, Nona, Kyle, Zena, Emily, Colleen, Harlan, Akanksha, Wouter, Shelby, Noelia, Reese, Clark, Adriana, Brian, Yukamip, Washin, and Can't I Potter? Who never do that thing where you tie your shoelace so tight that you can't untie it. If you want to be like one of these amazing patrons and get access to bonus episodes, discounts on the merchandise that's at bit.ly/merchon, and other amazing features, you can go to patreon.com/Potterless. But without further ado, let's get into episode 71 of Potterless, covering chapter 20 of Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, guest starring my sister, Meghan Fruehauf. Hello, Internet, and welcome back to another episode of Potterless, the tale of a 26-year-old man reading the Harry Potter series for the very first time. My name is Mike Schuer. I'm that 26-year-old man, and I am joined for her second run at the podcast, my beloved sister who wanted me to read these books for so long, and now I'm finally doing it. My university, did you see that Rice University put me in the 20 under 30?
Mom told me. I have to tell you this. I feel really bad because sometimes I think that I've called you and congratulated you for something because mom's the one that tells me about it, and then I'm like, that's awesome, go Mike, and then I forget that you weren't the one that told me. Mom just always fills me in on your life.
So I am a 20 under 30 media luminary for Rice University. It's funny because they wrote the whole big thing. It's like, by day, he's an engineer. By night, or whatever, he does this
like
podcast.
You're Batman.
Yeah, like I'm a superhero or something. But also, the day that the article came out was the day I quit my engineering job to do digital marketing, because it took them a while to actually make the magazine and all that. But what's funny is, I don't know if you've read it, but it has the whole story of me starting the podcast. And when I told the lady interviewing it to me, I was like, yeah, the reason I didn't read the books and stuff in the beginning was with Meghan and my sister and all this other stuff. But then the reason I actually started the podcast was Kelly. And when they wrote the article, they're like, yeah, we really crammed for space since there's 20 people that we got to write about. So we just had to cut the Kelly stuff, and it's just about your sister.
Yes.
Kelly
Sorry,
got a little upset.
Especially because she went to Rice and like they could have highlighted her.
I mean, Kelly is more instrumental to the podcast actually happening. You were just instrumental to making sure I didn't read them as a kid.
Well, I mean, not intentionally.
I
was arguing the other way, but you didn't want to listen to me, I guess.
It's your fault for liking The Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe, or at least Mom telling you that
No,
you liked
I
it.
never liked that book.
Mom told me you did.
That is false. That is false. That is Barbara.
Classic Barb.
Oh, by the way, classic Barb just finally started reading the Harry Potter books.
I saw it. She sent me a screenshot from her Kindle. She was
I know.
like,
She
look,
was
I'm
like-
finally doing it.
I know.
And maybe she'll finally listen to Potterless now. She asks me every time I'm home, Michael, how do I subscribe to your podcast? And how do I support on Patreon? And I always send a link. And I'm pretty sure I've like downloaded Potterless onto the Apple Podcasts app on her phone.
I know. I showed her where her podcasting app was on her phone. I walked her through it already. And I asked her tonight, because she told me she was like halfway done with the first book. And I was like, so are you listening along to the podcast as you're reading? And she was like, no, my plan is I'm going to read the book and then watch the movie and then listen to the podcast for each book. And I was like, okay, Mom, but you realize you can follow along chapter by chapter in the podcast.
Literally, with your
just
son.
like you read it. She's like, no, I'm just going to procrastinate listening to my only son's podcast as long as possible.
It's okay. Let it go as far as it can in the future, because when she eventually starts listening, she's like, Michael, you curse so much.
Oh my gosh, I know. I'm sure she'll get over it. I don't know.
She'll be fine. No, Barb and Joel have gotten to the point where I can curse in front of them and it's okay.
I know.
The first time I ever cursed in front of Barb and Joel is when I found out that my high school girlfriend, Kayla, I found out she cheated on me.
That bitch.
The worst. So I was so upset, obviously.
Yeah.
And I just started yelling stuff out in the kitchen. And I think it was the first time I cursed in front of them and they didn't yell at me for it, because I used to say things like, damn. And then Barbara would be like, Michael.
I know. They wouldn't even let us say hell or shut up. Remember, we weren't allowed to say shut up.
That one I actually kind of get.
Yeah.
More so than like the half curses, like saying ass or damn or whatever.
I get it too, but we would get in real trouble for that. And we weren't allowed to watch Ren and Stimpy.
We were not, which honestly probably a good decision looking
I know,
back. That
I
show
know.
was real weird.
There's so many things that we weren't allowed to do in childhood that looking back, I'm like, that was probably a good idea, Mom
really
and Dad.
Good call, Barb
even
and
though I
Joel.
hated you for it.
But I just like yelled out there, like, I told them the whole thing, blah, blah, blah. And then I just like yelled at the top of my lungs, like, she fucking cheated on me. And they were just like, let it out.
Wow.
and I just like vented for 15 minutes and they were just like, yep, cool. Get
I
out of your
know.
system.
That's awesome.
Now I will occasionally say some lewd things and they're okay with it. Hopefully they're in the podcast. Okay, we've been talking for a bunch of minutes about our mom. Let's talk about Harry Potter.
Oh, Barb.
Oh, Barb.
She'll never hear this because she'll never listen to the podcast anyway.
Or it'll be like 2023. Hello, Barbara. How is it being a prime citizen in Jeff Bezos' America?
Oh my gosh.
So chapter 20 is called Xenophilia's Lovegood.
What a name. What a name.
If you have recalled from last time, Ron is back, but Hermione's still grumpy with him. And the chapter begins with it being the morning, and Hermione's still upset, and narrator Harry's like, Hermione was still upset in the morning. Harry really thought she was going to just sleep it off.
No, I think it actually says he's not surprised that she's
not
still
surprised.
upset. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
I thought Harry was being like, oh, come on, Hermione, you went to bed. You're supposed to be happy now.
Yeah, no. Yeah, he
Good.
says, and he was therefore unsurprised that she
unsurprised.
communicated mainly by dirty looks and pointed silences.
I missed the un part, which is very essential to unsurprised.
Yeah, Harry's not that thick, I guess. Ron, on the other hand, is like, damn, she's still mad.
But Ron will soon be scheming to make that not a thing.
Yes.
So Hermione's upset. Ron is feeling very excited, though, because he keeps thinking about the good things that have happened, like the dough, the destruction of the locket, the fact that they have the sword.
Yeah.
Harry also is feeling optimistic, and Ron and Harry step aside and they catch up about what each of the two have been up to while the other has been gone.
Yeah.
So Ron tells him about what he's been up to, etc.
They are on a complete Horcrux high.
Oh, yeah.
They're so excited that they killed one, and they're just like super motivated. And Hermione can't really see past this because she's still kind of grumpy about Ron, but I think secretly she's optimistic too. But I don't think Hermione ever lost the optimism that they were going to be able to do all this, where like obviously Ron did, and Harry just gets discouraged when he doesn't have immediate gratification. So.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Sounds
like the Harry Potter that I know and love, or kind of love. Love at times.
Yeah. So who do you... I'm sure you probably talked about this with whoever you were recording the last chapter with, but who do you think sent the dough?
So we talked about what I hope it's not, but
okay.
we didn't talk about who I think it is. So what I hope it's not is mainly that I hope that the dough has nothing to do with Harry or James's Patronus being a stag. Was James's Patronus a stag or just his animagus form?
Both.
Okay, it was both. Mm-hmm. So here's what I fear. I'll say it really quickly since I said this last episode. I'm afraid that the dough might be Snape's because it was Lily's, and Lily's was a dough because James's was a stag, and I would hate that.
Okay.
The other thing that I think it might be, which I would also hate, is that if Ginny's is a dough because Harry's is a stag. I basically just don't
But I think we know Ginny's is not.
Is it? Did she do a Patronus for anything?
Well, yeah, I think when they were in the DA, I don't remember what it is, but I thought like...
Oh, no, isn't it a... Hermione's is an otter. Is hers like a dolphin?
I can't remember. Like,
I'm gonna Google...
You should Google it.
Can you Google it and make sure it's not a spoiler?
Yeah, I'll Google it. It's a horse.
A horse? Huh. Mm-hmm. Interesting. I like it. Very majestic.
Mm-hmm.
Did we learn that in the 5th book?
I feel like we did, and I also feel like they show it to you in the movie.
Okay.
At the same time, I think Harry knows it's not Ginny.
Okay.
I don't know.
Well, before posting this episode, I'll do the research, and if we're wrong, editing Mike will swoop in and it'll be like, "You dumb person. You forgot a thing that happened." Because that's how editing Mike talks. Oh, past Mike, you did forget a thing that happened. They mentioned previously that Ron's Patronus is a Jack Russell Terrier. And it's very funny because at the time of recording, I just read chapter 32 of Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, and guess what? The Jack Russell Terrier comes back. Coincidence? I think not. This has been editing, Mike. I always talk like this. Basically, I just don't want the dough to be because of someone else's being a stag. And that's really all it is. Because I just feel like people's Patronuses should be their own self-expression, so to speak. And if someone is a doe because of Harry or his dad's being a stag, I'll be upset.
Okay.
So I don't know who would have sent it. I really don't have a guess. But unfortunately, like, I'm leaning towards Snape just because I feel like he has to be good in at least some realm for people to kind of like this guy. And it's been 6 2/3 books, and this dude's done nothing good, at least aside from being a mole with Dumbledore, but he's never done anything that we can just point to and be like, look, here's a good thing that Snape has done.
Yeah.
So I think this might be him because he might actually have real access to the sword given his position.
Okay.
So it is in play. So I guess my guess would be Snape. But if his is a doe because of Lily's is a doe because of James's is a stag, I'll be super upset.
Okay. It sounds too coincidental, but we don't know that Lily's wasn't a doe before she fell in love with James either.
Oh, yeah, right.
Like, we don't know that it definitely changed from one thing to another thing. You know Tonks and Remus, obviously.
Exactly.
So Tonks has changed when she fell in love with Remus.
Yes.
We don't know that Lily's changed when she fell in love with James.
Right.
It could have always been a doe, and because they're soulmates, it could have just worked out.
Yeah.
Or it could have changed. We just don't really know.
I think either way it makes me upset. I think they should be more weird pairings.
That's true. And also maybe because it's really advanced magic, she couldn't have tried it before they were married or something.
Yeah, who knows?
It's kind of weird that they have, like, Patronuses already being so young, I guess.
That's true. We got to keep in mind they were young. So that's the thought. We'll figure out who the doe is.
Okay.
Ron and Harry catch up about what each other has been up to, and Ron asks how they figured out the taboo. And Harry, a.k.a. the reader, asks what?
Yeah.
And Ron reveals that saying Voldemort is how the Death Eaters now track people because the name has been jinxed. And how do you jinx every single person saying a word?
Well,
how the hell do you do that?
It's got to be some kind of, like, weird evil magic. I don't know if it's the same, like, the coins that Hermione developed that she based off of the Dark Mark, and they all kind of like feel it and get summoned. I don't know if it's some kind of similar magic, like, I don't know.
Like, does Voldemort know Beetlejuice, and Beetlejuice was like, hey, I got this thing where if people say my name
Voldemort.
If they say it just once, though, you can see where they are. The point that Ron goes on to make makes it actually really smart and strategic. It just seems ridiculous to me that you could put a jinx on every single person saying a word. That seems nuts.
Well, I think it's more like a tracker. I don't think it's a jinx. I think it's like they know where they are once they say it, which also is kind of weird. But it's not like anything bad happens to you because you say it. It's just that people know where you are so that they can go and make something bad happen to you.
Yeah.
Like, they can apparate to where you are. It doesn't, like, you know, they're not like all of a sudden stunned or whatever. It allows the Death Eaters to find you.
Yeah, I'm also imagining that Voldemort, when he developed this jinx, or found this out, or however he figured out to make this work, he was doing it to see if people are talking smack about him behind his back. Okay, how do I see if people are talking smack about me behind my back? If anyone says my name, I will get an alert on this GPS tracker, and then I will teleport to them and say, don't be talking badly about me, Yaxley.
It's true. Well, you have to remember, he is like the most paranoid person ever.
Oh, yeah.
So maybe he originally developed it for the Death Eaters, because none of them call him Voldemort. They call him the Dark Lord, whatever.
Which is a cooler name than Voldemort.
I agree.
Like, the Dark Lord sounds so much more intimidating. Voldemort is this dumb anagram. It's like, oh, no, it's French for the flight of death. Okay, Voldemort, cool. Real cool.
Don't act like you know French.
I wish that in the French version of Harry Potter, it was an anagram where it, like, spelled an English word. Like, Voldemort was English for flight of death. Like, isn't it? It was just flight of death. But the one thing I do love about the French version is that they had to rearrange the name, so it was Je suis like, it had to be Je suis Voldemort. So they made his middle name Elvis, because you had to get the letters in there.
That is awesome. I guess you really have to think about that kind of stuff when you're translating. That's pretty cool.
Oh, if you want a good time, look at just the Wikipedia page of all the words in Harry Potter in different languages. Quidditch is a really fun one, which has a bunch of weird names in a bunch of different countries. And I think in some country it's called dunk ball. It's called something way cooler.
Nice.
There's a bunch of real fun names. So Ron says that it makes sense because the only people who ever said Voldemort's name are the people who stood up to him. So Dumbledore, Harry, Order of the Phoenix members, whoever it is that is actually going to be not afraid to say Voldemort, those are the people that they want to try to find. And apparently they almost got Kingsley Shacklebolt with this new jinx, and I would have been heartbroken. Apparently Kingsley Shacklebolt is okay, though. According to Ron, he got away, but now he's on the run.
Yes.
I wish nothing but the best for Kingsley Shacklebolt.
I
also want a spin-off book about this Kingsley Shacklebolt escapade.
He's such an interesting character that we don't know that much about.
I don't want to see these new Fantastic Beasts movies about people that I don't care about.
Yeah.
And it's all a bunch of white people that I don't give a damn about. I want to learn about Kingsley Shacklebolt. Give me the Kingsley Shacklebolt biopic. Give me the McGonagall origin story. I don't care about these new people.
McGonagall.
I don't care about Jason, whatever the hell, like Muggle dude who bakes stuff. I don't give a damn.
I really like learning about Grindelwald, but I wish it wasn't Johnny Depp.
Don't we all?
I just like,
don't we
of
all?
Course.
Hey, it's editing Mike again. Just keep in mind, I recorded this months ago, so I know we're all tired of the Johnny Depp stuff. Thankfully, we don't say anything more about it.
I do think it's interesting, especially like after you finish this book, just because
I'll actually know stuff about Grindelwald more than just that he's pretty.
Yeah, I guess. You don't really learn all that much, but like it's just enough to spark your interest on like you already know he's like the second darkest wizard to Voldemort, but he's like his predecessor. So it's just interesting to be like, oh yeah, I guess there were other evil people before Voldemort, and I wonder what they did.
The only two things I know about Grindelwald is that he was cute and he got his ass kicked by Dumbledore, and that's it. Maybe three, he's evil as hell. So I know three things. Evil, cute, ass kicked by Dumbledore.
Yeah. I think you should know this, and maybe you just didn't put two and two together, but it's not really like a secret. It's more of like a timeline thing. So his like rise to power was 1945.
Oh, yes. It's very parallel to Hitler.
Obviously,
That's why I always try to call him Wizard Hitler and Voldemort Wizard Satan.
Yeah, that's true. It's kind of, it makes you wonder, you know, if she might kind of tie those together or not. I don't really know.
It will be interesting. But anyway, Ron says that Kingsley's on the run, but he's all right. Harry, being a big dumb idiot, asks, oh, was it Kingsley who sent the dough? And Ron says, remember that time 12 chapters ago when he sent us a lynx, you big dumb idiot? But then Ron doesn't look so smart because he wonders if the dough was sent by Dumbledore. And Harry says, remember that book?
About his death?
At the end of the last time when Dumbledore died and then we all went to his funeral? And
he's like, and plus his is a phoenix. So he wouldn't cheat. If your Patronus is a phoenix, like
you won
the
Patronus
lottery. That is way
lottery.
Cooler, yeah. I think maybe a doe instead. Should we change it? Nah. I don't know, a resurrecting firebird or like a common deer.
Yeah, a thing that gets, stuck in the road and then makes people pay thousands upon thousands of dollars of car insurance. I had to drive in the Northeast for the first time in my career when Kelly and I were going to upstate New York for a Rice alumni thing.
Oh my gosh, I forgot you didn't.
I never drove because I moved at age 14, so I never had to deal with it.
Yeah, I was going to say, I got my driver's license in New Jersey.
The amount of stress that I was under driving in the woods of the Northeast, because I saw dozens of deer just hit and then on the side of the road. And I knew growing up that all of our parents and friends' parents just hated deer so much because basically you would just not see one and then you have to pay thousands of dollars and then the deer doesn't have car insurance.
Yeah.
So you have to worry about all of it. So all the people that we knew in the Northeast were like, I hate deer so much. And now I finally get it. I was so stressed out driving. It was horrible. It was horrible.
Well, have you ever, like, when we drive to a few ranches, even down here, they're pretty prevalent, and you gotta be careful.
Yeah.
But not to one-up you or anything.
No, go for it. Please.
So Craig and Lucia, our friends, they got married in Montana, Big Sky, Montana. They got married in the summer, and because it's like a ski town, it was kind of expensive to fly into that airport. So a lot of people flew into different airports and drove. Like, we flew into Salt Lake City and rented a car and drove.
Makes sense.
Yeah, and I think our other friends did the same thing. They just weren't on the same flight as us. As they're driving, he hits a moose.
Woof.
A moose in a rental car at like 2 a.m. And he has a baby in the car. Like, it was insane.
Oh my gosh.
But talk about wrecking a car. It was totaled.
The only good thing about that is that when you get rental car insurance, you just do that thing where you pay $15 a day and they cover literally everything.
You don't even have to do that. Your own car insurance will cover it.
I have to do that, though, because I live in New York City. I'm a big New York City boy, and my car is the subway, so I don't have car insurance anymore.
Oh, well,
which is so good. It's so good. Because car insurance was like $130 a month.
Oh, lucky you.
Which was annoying because I was a good driver, and I never got into any accidents, ever. Ugh. And now I'm going to knock on wood, I guess, so that, like, the subway doesn't hit things.
That's actually really cheap for car insurance, too.
I mean, yeah, well, because I was driving the junky car that mom and dad gave me as, like, graduation present. Here's a car with 197,000 miles on it, Michael. Happy graduation. Here's a 17-year-old car.
I didn't get a car from them until I had a baby.
At least you got a new one, though. I remember people in high school being like, my parents got me a car for my 17th birthday, but it's like a used Hyundai. It's like, I have to borrow my parents' car, and after graduating college, I got a dinky-ass Nissan Maxima that I love with all of my heart, but still, it was falling apart. Nobody should complain ever.
Remember they saved the Jetta for me?
No,
the 90.
But that car was literally against the law. It was illegal to drive that car because the safety was on it was so bad.
So it had no airbags, and it had roll-down windows, a 94 Jetta, and they saved it for me. And then, like, a year, probably like a half a year before I got my license, they were like, oh shit, this car isn't safe.
It is a death trap. It is a death rectangle.
You can't drive
wheels.
this. And I was like, okay. So that car that you told me was going to be my car, now it's not. And now I have to reason with you to borrow your car.
Oh my goodness, fun times. Well, anyway, Harry Potter. Ron cites Tonks' Patronus changing, and Harry asks why wouldn't Dumbledore just show up if he's still around or able to send Patronuses, which is a good point. Ron fully trusts Dumbledore now, given that the put-outer, not the deluminator, the put-outer has saved him.
I have to talk to you
No,
about
we don't,
this.
guys. I've done it on so many episodes. Every time it comes up, people are going to hate me.
I read this, please. I read this thing. Okay, I gotta pull it up.
Oh, geez.
Okay, so I read this thing on Reddit today because it's not just a put-outer, obviously. You know this because it brought Ron back to them.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so listen to this fan theory I read on Reddit.
Link me this fan theory afterwards so I can tell them that they're wrong.
Okay, anyway, the girl who wrote its name is douchebag_Karen with 2 R's. Amazing. Anyway, it says, I've always looked at it as the put-outer was a prototype.
I've heard this, yeah.
In the first book, Dumbledore has to click the device for every light he wants to extinguish. It does say that he clicks it 12 times in the book. And in book 7, the deluminator is clicked once and removes all the light in the room. I assume this is the finished product that Dumbledore worked all the kinks out of.
Okay, I like this theory. This makes sense. Like, I can understand this being a theory and that how it actually works. But what I still believe to be true, even if this theory is true, is that J.K. Rowling realized she came up with a shitty name for her thing.
Oh, I'm sure.
And then just tried to, like, sweep it under the rug. Because when the squad gets the will and Harry hears that it's called the Deluminator, he, without missing a step, he's like, oh, yeah, the Deluminator. And it's like, no, Harry, you thought it was called the Put-Outer for 2 books, or at least 1 book. In the 5th book, you, as the narrator, called it the Put-Outer.
Yeah.
So, anyway, because of the Put-Outer...
Yeah.
/ deluminator, whatever you want to call it, Ron fully trusts Dumbledore. Harry is less confident in Dumbledore because he's been a brat for the past couple chapters. He asks if Ron has read the Dumbledore stuff that Rita Skeeter wrote. And Ron says, oh, yeah, but come on, Dumbledore was so young. And then Harry interrupts and goes, our age, which I hate.
He's so set on that. Ugh. I know. He's like, this teenage life that I'm living is like... I have so much knowledge.
Yeah, Cecilia and I talked about this last episode, but you're going to go back and look at yourself, Harry, when you read these books that J.K. Rowling wrote. You're going to look back and be like, wow, I was so dumb.
And
I was so
young.
dumb. Like we all did about us at age 17. Everyone.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Well, and I also think he just doesn't want to think that he won't be friends with Ron and Hermione anymore.
Yeah.
Because obviously Dumbledore and Grindelwald were not friends anymore. And
that
so
is true.
He doesn't want to, like, look back and be like, oh, I was so young when I was friends with them and I'm not friends with them anymore.
Yeah, I get it, but he's also just being pissy.
Oh, totally. It's Harry, I mean.
Harry then engorgios a spider, which I first thought he was doing to spite Ron, but apparently...
So did Ron.
Yeah, so did Ron. Apparently he's just testing out his new wand. But then Harry's like, oh, I forgot. It's like, this is Ron's one big fear. You're supposed to be his best friend. Like, get it together, Harry. Be a good friend.
He's got a lot on his mind, okay?
But just, like, maybe not a spider.
He's trying to save the world here. He's trying to save the world. Give him a break.
So Harry just can't quite get this new wand to work perfectly. He says that when he tries minor charms, they just don't have the same power that he did with his old wand.
The wand chooses the wizard.
Yeah, Ollivander pops out of a bush. Hey!
I don't think that wand is your wand.
Let me be really creepy and keep talking about wood and wood length with these 10-year-old children. Ollivander was so creepy. That dude is scary. I do not like Ollivander. I was scared to go to Ollivander's in Harry Potter world. I was afraid. Thankfully, I'm a grown adult.
So you didn't buy a wand then?
I didn't buy the wand that costs 50 cents to make, but they charge $50.
Excuse me, you're not like a real Harry Potter nerd until I
fully
expected
waste
you
money?
to
No, I spent money on good things like butterbeer.
I fully expected you to come back with like a full garb.
I mean, I will get Harry Potter stuff, but I want useful Harry Potter things.
Okay.
Like, I'll get a bunch of Harry Potter, I don't know, mugs or shot glasses or wall art or notebooks or whatever. I'm not going to get a freaking plastic cylinder that...
You know, they make a deluminator.
Oh, gross.
I think it's actually like a lighter too.
If it's called the Put Outer, I'm in. I have seen people send me things where some things are called the Put Outer. Like it's called the Put Outer in a card game. And then there's like old toys that came out before the 7th book came out where it's called the Put Outer because it wasn't called the Deluminator until book 7. So there's a decent amount of merch where it's called the Put Outer. I would buy one of those and be like, haha. Yeah. Narrator Harry explains that he thought of saying, fine, you take it, but he decided not to so that he could keep their friendship intact. Oh, Harry, what a saint. So back at camp, Ron tries to set up a radio saying that there is one program that tells the news like it is, which is basically the wizard version of Pod Save America. So is there Pod Save England? Is he trying to like tune in? This is great podcast. It's hosted by these old
Fox
speech
News,
writers.
We'll tell you that. Yeah.
Yeah, he's definitely not trying to find Breitbart Radio or whatever the hell Alex Jones does now that he's gotten kicked off and banned from everything.
He's looking for John Oliver.
Yeah, he's trying to find Last Week Tonight.
Yes, my favorite show.
So Ron says that they changed their location location every single night, and there's a password to tune in. Ron is trying to get in, though, because he missed the password last time. Hermione pulls Harry aside while this is going on and says that she wants to find Xenophilius Lovegood. She says that it's about that mark, the triangle with the circle in the middle of it, which is in Beetle the Bard. It's what Xenophilius wore to the wedding. It's Grindelwald's thing. And she also found it in another instance. She shows Harry that in the Rita Skeeter book, in the letter that Dumbledore wrote to Grindelwald, when he signed it, Albus Dumbledore, or Albus or whatever, he replaced the A in Albus with the what we now will learn is the Deathly Hallows logo, which, first off, very crafty Dumbledore, but also I'm very intrigued about what this means, and this has been very interesting for me.
I wanted to ask you.
So I know that this thing exists. I literally know nothing about it. I don't know what the Deathly Hallows are. I don't know.
Oh, you will learn with me, and I cannot wait.
I don't know if it's good or whatever. Yeah, at the time of recording, I've only read chapter 20. I have no idea what it is. I've just seen it everywhere. So she shows him this, and Hermione also points out that it was on a grave in Godric's Hollow, meaning that this sign predates Grindelwald, which gives me some hope that it's not a wizard swastika or something. It's not bad.
Yes, which is exactly how Crumb interpreted it.
Exactly. But speaking of wizard swastikas, I don't know if I've talked about this on an episode or just in public. Let me stop you right there, past Mike. Hey, it's editing, Mike. How's it going, listeners? It's been so long. You already talked about this on an episode, so I'm going to delete this portion of the conversation, but I'm keeping in the part where you and Meghan talk about Disney villains, because Disney villains are fantastic. And listeners, please cut past Mike some slack. He has a lot of conversations about Harry Potter, and sometimes he forgets which ones get recorded and which ones don't. He wants to make sure everything gets documented, so sometimes he talks about the same thing more than once, and I know it's frustrating, but I hope you understand. Anyway, here's that bumbling idiot past Mike who keeps saying the same things all the damn time. I don't understand anyone that would want to get it. It's not like the Death Eaters are cool.
No.
It's not like an outlandish and crazy villain like the Decepticons from Transformers, because the Death Eaters clearly are written to teach a lesson to children to not be racist. It's not like the Decepticons are teaching a life lesson. It's just like, oh, they're the bad planes and the bad cars. Sure. I like Megatron. I like Starscream. He has a cool name and a high-pitched voice.
You're out nerding me with this Transformer thing.
Let's see. What's something less...
Let's bring it back to witches and wizards here.
I'm trying to think of just like a cool villain. Like, it's like I was going to say a Disney villain, but they are definitely told to teach children lessons too.
But they're also cool, especially the newer ones.
Yeah.
Tamatua from Moana is amazing.
Is that the crab that's from Flight of the
crab.
Conchords? Yeah.
I love him.
That's good. He's my favorite. That song is good. Shiny, dope
He's like
song.
one of my favorite villains. Although Hans from Frozen is like
pretty good. I saw it coming, but pretty good.
I didn't see it coming, and
you met this guy
mean.
2 days ago? Hey, can you just like watch over the kingdom real quick while I find my sister who can create sentient life out of inanimate objects that we're just not going to address? She's literally God.
They're making a Frozen 2. They're making a
Frozen 2 Electric Boogaloo?
I hope so.
2 Fro, 2 Zen?
Travis, we were watching it tonight, actually, with Rory.
Who is a patron, gotta admit.
Yes.
My 2-year-old niece, so good. You know who's not? Barbara Schubert, my mother. I don't know how to get Patreon to work.
Or how to even listen to your podcast.
Why have we made Mom an old Jewish woman?
I don't know, but
She does have a New York accent that I like can't hear, but everyone makes fun of. So I need to like channel it.
Only when she says certain things.
Sella, coffee. She says coffee real bad.
Trav always she doesn't make fun of it. He always points out that she says Houston instead of Houston.
Oh, yeah.
I think the first time he's like, your mom never pronounces the H in Houston.
She doesn't believe in H's.
Not when they're in front of U's.
I love this book, Harry Potter. Hermione's my favorite character.
Hermione. She would probably say that. I wonder how she will pronounce her name, actually.
We'll have to see.
Totally sidetracked.
Frozen.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Let's get back to the Disney.
Yeah, the tangent to the tangent.
Yeah, exactly. So Trav, tonight when we were watching it, said Frozen 2 was going to be about Weaselton's revenge.
I hope it is.
Or Wesselton's Revenge.
Yeah, the little
it's
nerdy
Wesselton.
dude. Yeah. That'll be very fun.
Have you ever seen Zootopia?
I did. It was good. It was all right. It wasn't my favorite, but it was pretty solid.
Okay, so you know the weasels in there, they say the town of Wesselton, and he goes, it's Weaseltown. They like flip him.
That's very good.
Disney's so clever.
Love a good inside joke. Oh, geez, Pasma, you might as well just make me a co-host with all the times I gotta butt into this episode. I gotta stop you right there, because it's time for Wingardium Adridosa. Today's episode of Potterless is brought to you by TAVOUR. I know that there is nothing more satisfying at the end of a hard day than to kick back and crack open a beer and just relax. But you want to just be able to go in and say Accio beer, right? But we're just muggles and Harry Potter's a fiction novel, so we can't do that. What would be the next best thing? If beer was delivered directly to your door. And what could even be better than that is if it's not just regular beer like Bud Light, but it's actually handcrafted, independently brewed beer that you have selected yourself. Well, how are you going to do that? No, not magic. TAVOUR, which is the closest thing to magic you're going to get. With TAVOUR, you can browse rare beers crafted by independent brewers throughout the country and get them delivered to your door. And you get a special discount because you're a Potterless listener. You can get $10 of credit after making your first $25 purchase if you put the code Potterless into the app. So download the TAVOUR app. When you sign up, it'll prompt you a code. You can type Potterless, or if you make a mistake, don't worry. When you're in the app regularly, you can tap those three little lines on the side, then scroll down to promo code and type in Potterless, and you will get $10 in credit after you make your first purchase of $25 or more. And remember when I said the best thing is getting beer that you've selected delivered directly to your door? Well, you know what's even better than that? Free beer, and you can get that if you use the code Potterless when you download the app TAVOUR. So download TAVOUR today. Today's episode of Potterless is also brought to you by the app Calm. Let's say hypothetically you were on the run trying to defeat, I don't know, the Lord of all evil, and you're trying to find little pockets of where he has kept part of his soul, and you're trying to destroy them, but you're having such a hard time on this mission because you can't get good rest. And why can't you get good rest? It's because you keep having these nightmares because your scar is linked to him, and you keep seeing visions of him and his large pet snake, and it's just not making for good sleep. Well, that's where the app Calm comes in, because Calm has hours upon hours of sleep stories in their app, which allows you to have a nice bedtime story for adults to fall asleep to with relaxing rain sound effects behind it. Now, wouldn't that be great? So you wouldn't be so stressed and you could get better rest and try to find these Horcruxes if we were to give them a name? I think so. Calm is the #1 app to help you reduce stress and sleep better. They have guided meditations, and those can be tailored to whatever sort of goal you are looking for, whether it's focus, whether it's anxiety, whether it's stress. And Potterless listeners, you lovely humans, can get 25% off a Calm premium subscription if you go to calm.com/Potterless. That includes loads of audio that they already have, and you can get started right away. If you go to calm.com/Potterless, that's CALM.com/Potterless, and start being more relaxed and getting better rest so that you can wake up, attack the day, and try to murder your arch enemy. So Hermione points out that the sign predates Grindelwald. Harry is a bit hesitant, but Hermione brings up that Beetle the Bard has to be for something. And then Harry gets all pissy, like, why do we keep trying to convince ourselves that Dumbledore left us clues? He did.
Yeah.
That's exactly what he did.
Always leaving clues.
This is Dumbledore's thing, you stupid person.
Don't you know this by now?
Yeah, come on. Haven't you read the first 6 books, Harry? So then Ron brings up, the put outer worked, and also the Quibbler has been very pro-Harry.
And also I want to get on Hermione's good side.
Yes, which we will learn very soon. But Ron says, it looks like trusting Dumbledore and Xenophilius is probably a good idea. So he comes forward saying, I agree with Hermione. Ron then decides to put it up to a vote. Hermione begrudgingly sides with Ron. They win 2-1. And Ron says, oh, come on, the Lovegoods are close to the burrow. Let's head over there. And afterwards, Harry takes Ron aside and says, you only did that to get on Hermione's good side. And Ron says, quote, all's fair in love and war, and this allows for a little bit of both, which is amazing. I love this play by Ron.
Yes, I have 2 things to say to that. Okay, first of all, you left out, Harry says, why didn't Dumbledore just tell us what the symbol means? And Hermione said, maybe it's something you need to find out for yourself, which is important.
Okay. Didn't it then say something about how one of them agreed, but they didn't really believe it?
Yeah. Ron agrees, and he said, ooh, that sounds smart. And then Hermione says, no, it doesn't.
Yeah.
Like, she's like, I'm just trying to get Harry to go there.
That is how you can tell how upset Hermione is at Ron, is that she just willingly called herself not smart. That's huge. That's how upset this woman is.
She just like allowed herself to call her own bluff. And what you were saying, what Ron said about all is fair in love and war, I was like, wait, that's like a muggle saying. And then I looked it up, and it's supposed to be some book written in 1579. And how would he know, like, a muggle saying, quote, because when we read further into these chapters, this is just like a little offhand remark, but Ron starts like making wizard superstitions, and Harry and Hermione are like, we've never heard those. We grew up with muggles. Oh. Isn't that interesting that he would know like a muggle saying too?
The only thing I can think is that Arthur Weasley, who loves muggles, knows it.
Yeah,
and
maybe.
Then said it to him. But Arthur Weasley also doesn't know how American money works, which is just numbers on rectangles. Yeah. So not real great there. How do I do this math? These say 10 on them. Are they worth 10? Yes, Arthur. Come on. It also says it in letters on a dollar bill. Like, it says $10.
Well, is it pounds? Isn't it British money?
But British money still works the same. Like, I don't know what the hell galleons look like.
It still has numbers and stuff, right?
Yeah, but British money still is numbers on rectangles. They're just colored, so they look like Monopoly money, and they're different shapes. I just don't understand how he can't put the concept of basic math and rectangles together.
I don't know.
Shouldn't be that hard.
I don't disagree.
So they disapparate. They go into the hills that separate where the Lovegoods live from the Burrow. It's the Christmas holidays, so Luna should be back in town. And Ron reveals to Harry and Hermione that he didn't go home when he was away from them out of fear of ridicule from Fred, George, and Ginny, which is very nice. So he ended up going to Bill and Fleur's. And Bill actually pulled out a big bro move here.
So nice to take him in.
Bill lied to his own mother to keep Ron's secret, saying that he and Fleur just wanted to spend their first holiday as a married couple together. And Ron says to Harry and Hermione, I'm sure Fleur didn't mind. You know how much she hates Celestina Warbeck, which is very good. So they start searching for the Lovegoods house, and they see a cottage in the middle of nowhere that seems deserted, but that's not it. So they disapparate further up the hill, and then Ron sees a house that looks like a rook. Hermione says, that doesn't look like a bird. And then Ron says, I meant a chess rook. Two things here. One, I didn't know that a rook was also a bird. Did you?
Me neither.
Okay, is it a British thing? Hey, Dottie, is it a British thing?
And now it is time for British Quandaries with UK correspondent Dottie G.
Hey, it's editing Mike. Sorry to butt in again, but geez, I wanted to save Dottie some hassle here. I just Googled it. A rook is like a ravenish type bird that exists in Europe. It's not like a phrase. Dottie's here to clear up British quandaries and colloquialisms, not to educate Mike on the etymology of birds. She has better things to do. Anyway, here's past Mike, that idiot who doesn't know what any birds are. Oh, okay. Thanks, Dottie. But the other thing that I don't get is that this is playing into this whole thing where Ron knows about wizard chess, but Hermione doesn't. And they do this similarly when Ron and Harry know stuff about Quidditch, but Hermione doesn't. I just don't really believe that Hermione, this super smart nerd person, doesn't play or know how to play wizard chess.
Yeah.
Like, that seems very unbelievable to me.
That's
that
true.
Even if she's not interested in it, she knows so much stuff about everything. I feel like she would know the rules, or at least the pieces in wizard chess.
Maybe. Yeah, that's a good point. But I feel like her outlet is just reading. I don't know that she has any other hobbies, which is kind of sad in a way, I guess.
I guess Spew is her other hobby, which still hasn't come to fruition. I'm still waiting for Spew to matter. It better happen in this book.
You might just keep on waiting.
Oh, no. So they get close and they see 3 hand-painted signs outside, which confirm it's the Lovegoods house, because one says, The Quibbler, Editor X Lovegood. One says, Pick your own mistletoe. And one says, Keep off the dirigible plums. So, yep, they're in the right spot. So they knock. Yeah. Xenophiles answers the door, and he's looking rough. He is very frantic, but his jaw literally drops when he sees Harry Potter.
Yeah, it says it made a perfect O in the book.
So Xenophiles then is kind of weird, which I don't know if his nervousness is because he's embarrassed by how messy his place is, or if he's like actually nervous because of things like fearing the Death Eaters. But after a bit of a back and forth, they finally let the squad in.
He is acting the most sketch.
Okay.
Like, so sketchy.
So they go inside, and you learn that the first room in the house is a perfectly circular kitchen where everything is designed to fit the walls in a perfect circle, and it's painted with flowers, birds, and insects, which Harry believes was done by Luna. And if this isn't in the movie, I'm gonna fucking riot, because I need to see this kitchen. If it's not, I'm going to be so upset. They had two full movies for the 7th book. I'm 2/3 of the way through the 7th book, and not that much has happened.
You're in the house, and it's definitely, like, weird, but I don't know that it looks exactly as described in the book.
I want to see this kitchen. I also want a perfectly circular kitchen. This sounds incredible.
Yeah.
And very inconvenient, but incredible. So they go upstairs to a room that is basically a hybrid of a living room and a workplace. There is stuff everywhere, but there's no Luna. There was a bunch of noises going on, which they thought was Luna, but it's actually an old magic wooden printing press. Xenophilius then goes on to ask why they are here. Hermione then butts in and asks what the giant gray spiraled horn mounted on the wall is. Xenophilius says it's from a crumplehorn snorkack, which I love. Love that they're coming into play. But Hermione then butts in and says, no, it isn't. And Harry's like, Hermione, not the time. We're trying to learn things from this guy.
And Hermione's like, we're all in mortal danger.
Yes, she insists that it's important that they talk about what this thing is because it is an irrumpent horn, which is a Class B tradable material and is very dangerous. Ron asks how she knows this, and Hermione says that it is in Fantastic Beasts and where to find them. Apparently, it can explode at the slightest touch, which Xenophilius doesn't believe or isn't fazed by because he just keeps going on about Snorkax, saying that he got it as a gift for his Luna. And Hermione is freaking out about being in the same room as this thing.
Yeah.
He says that he bought it. And my first thought was, Mundungus, did you lie to this man? But then he says that it's from a young wizard or something, so it's someone else. I don't know if we actually learn who the salesman is or whatever, but this seems very interesting. Mm-hmm. So Xenophilius then again asks why they're here. Harry says that he needs help, and Xenophilius seems like he doesn't want to help, and Ron then calls him out for being hypocritical, citing that he has been constantly calling for people to support Harry in the Quibbler. So Ron then says, oh, it's the right thing to do, just not your duty to take care of it when presented with the opportunity. And Hermione dogpiles on too, saying, where's Luna? Let's see what she thinks. Yeah. Which I love that they're doing this.
Actually, Ron, instead of saying the Quibbler, says that magazine of yours. Which I think is also awesome.
Very good. So Xenophilius says Luna is at the stream fishing. He'll go get her and that he's going to help. When he leaves, Ron says, cowardly old wart. Luna's got 10 times his guts. So Xenophilius leaves. Harry looks around and sees a stone of a bust of a beautiful but austere looking witch. But since she's beautiful, we know she's good at magic because J.K. Rowling only makes hot people good at magic. Except for Snape. He's the one ugly person that's good at magic. And this bust of a witch is wearing this very funky and strange headdress. It has two objects that resembled golden ear trumpets, my favorite thing, sticking out of the ears, curved out from both sides. It has tiny blue wings, which are attached to a leather strap above her head, and then an orange radish from the garden was stuck to a second strap across her forehead. I am very confused by what this is. Xenophilius then returns and says, you've spotted my pet invention. He reveals that the bust is of Rowena Ravenclaw. And at this point, I got very intrigued, where I first thought, wait, is the horn a Horcrux? And then the second thing I thought was, wait, is the bust a Horcrux? And then I started having an existential crisis and thought, am I a Horcrux? I don't know what is in play, but something is going to be special here. The Ravenclaw thing is key because we know, or at least we've theorized from Dumbledore, that the founders of Hogwarts are involved in the things that Voldemort are turning into Horcruxes, and we know that the Hufflepuff Cup is in play, and we thought that maybe a Ravenclaw thing is in play, so I don't know if this bust or something else is there, but the fact that it's Ravenclaw really perked my ears and made me think that it's important.
Yeah, I mean...
it's okay if you can't say anything.
I don't want to say anything.
Okay,
you
good.
could reread it because you deep dived into his invention.
Yeah, well, it'll go more so than the bust itself.
Yes.
Okay, I mean, did I miss anything aside from the fact that she is pretty but austere and is dressed really fancily, and that it's got wit beyond measure as a man's greatest treasure written on the bottom of it?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll have to maybe go back and check, or maybe not.
Or maybe
because
not.
I didn't know to look out for it, but we shall see. Maybe I'll go back after the big reveal. deal.
Yeah, exactly. You don't have to. You don't have to go back now, but...
Okay, so Xenophilia says that the ear trumpets are Rackspurt ciphers to block out distractions. He says that the wings are a billowing propeller to induce an elevated frame of mind, and the radish, which he reveals is the dirigible plum from the signs earlier, is there to increase the ability to accept the extraordinary. I am terrified. I am so confused about what this thing is or does or is for, but Xenophilius offers them some funky root drink and says Luna is on their way back. He asks how he can help Harry, and Harry says the symbol, and he asks what it means, and Xenophilius says, oh, are you referring to the sign of the Deathly Hallows? And then the chapter ends.
Dun, dun, dun.
And it plays the dun dun from Law & Order SVU. And that's the end of chapter 20. Is there anything else you want to say before we go on to chapter 21?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we got really into it. It's kind of just revving up to what's about to happen, I guess. I'm glad you took a note of things in his house, though.
Okay,
Ooh,
good.
I'm so excited to get into the next one.
Me too. But we're going to have to wait till the next episode of Potterless to cover it. But Meghan, thank you so much for joining. Listeners, thank you so much for listening. And as they say in the wizarding world of Harry Potter, right before they eat dirigible plums, wizard on! Are you following Potterless on social media? You should be following Potterless on social media. I am very biased, but I think I am very funny on social media, specifically Potterless' social media. Twitter is very silly, Instagram has very fun behind-the-scenes stories and posts, and Facebook, we've got a whole special group where you can talk about Harry Potter, share memes, and all that good stuff. I'm about to say all of those links in the outro, so just pay attention to that. Potterless is created by Mick Schubert, it is hosted by Mick Schubert, it is edited by Mick Schubert, it is produced by Mick Schubert, as well as Leanne Davis, Vicky Garcia, Aaron Johnson, Erica and Calvin Bauer, Jesse Horgan, Natalie Klobuchar, Deborah Wilkins, Klaus Erlopu, Rebecca Adamek, Frank Chiodo, Marchismo, Tori Larsick, Samantha Rose, Swanson Feliu, Jenna Dowsett, Kieran Webb, Abita Med, Caitlin Jordan Pontolo, Rosemary Dodge, Jill Boulay, Maria Lisa C. Keen, Ariel Bird, Romina Rivdanira, Camille Dock, Russell Dunk, Dustin Roland Cooch, Audra, Eleanor Curlin, Sydney Cawthorn, Billy Hinton, Rossanne Batamana, Andrea Franz, Nikita Power, Lala Palmer, Chelsea Green, Taylor Armstead, Lovekesh Longer, Ali Madsen, Cassandra Aponte, Roxy Chaos, Amelia Krause, Sean Montag, Sarah Ning, Ben Silver, Rachel Guthrie, Zachary Polito, Jessica Ann, Arnica the Daughter, Tiago Costa, Daisy Carton, Sutter, Jessica Jacob, Orchid Grower, Steve Trelaw, Vivian the Owl, Takaria Ront, Haley Hastings, Marino Moster, Pinky Pan, Angelina Uthred, Rosa Marie Heise, Phineas Ebner, Lee Ganji Singh, Alex Bisholta, Brian Williams, Caitlin Sullivan, Finn Stuckey, Mohsin Siddiqui, Grace Riggle, Semi Shaw, Raul Pineda, Ingan Oddstotter, Mary Wynn, Brianne Wingate, Heidi Stoll, Alexandra Consulver, John Kotker, Jen and Juice, Noel Baselet, Tao, Emily Tyrell, Michael Russell, Robin Fernandez, Patricia Cologne, Will Barrington, Liz Bigelow, Mariah Noah, Brandon Pickens, Sarah Enslin, Claire Spencer, Teal, Sina Schutzenberg, Rory Collier, Gloria Gillum, Sarah and Patrick Donavant, Alicat29, Hallie Bowen, Veronica Bartova, Kevin Harnoy, Lotta B, Noah, Tracy Toya, Lucinda, Carlos Nino, Pam Webb, Nikki Emio, Colleen King, Jennifer Marklew, Frida J. Svensson, Idor Peterson, Naomi Guglielmo, Tyler Latrow, Summer Rathel, Heather Fleischman, Vera Cullatham, Carrie D. Baggeson, Andrea Kroc, Elisa Grieven, Lynn Walker, Emily Gale, Ryan King, Cameron Watkins, Justin Montero, Christine Saunders, Jacob Parrish, Toothless Walnut, Weekend at Dead Cat Ladies, Maya Gray, Mark Body, Polly Burge, Kimberly Savage, Srujan Thamne Gupta, Brittany Gutierrez, Nita Atabani, Bhavi Patel, Tumnus Moran, Remy Fontaine, Mats Furley, Sarah Schecker, Lauren Cook, Nova VM, Kyle Zena Rosnowski, Emily Tilly, Colleen Mage, Harlan Haskins, Akanksha Saxena, Wouter Vander Maiden, Shelby Darnell, Noelia, Reese Clark, Adriana Cox, Ryan, Yukameep Eats Waffles, Ushin Large, Jenny Campione, Nikki Harris, Cara Hamilton, Dorcas, and Can't I Potter? Web designed by Kelly Beckman, and the music is by Bettina Campamanes. You can find Potterless on social media at facebook.com/Potterless, twitter.com/PotterlessPod, instagram.com/PotterlessPodcast, and reddit.com/r/Potterless. All information about the show lives at PotterlessPodcast.com, and bonus content is at patreon.com/Potterless. Thank you so much for listening, and until next time, as they say in the wizarding world of Harry Potter, a wizard on!